Hello viewers, welcome again to another Carbon Chemicals Live. We hope today that you will like, comment and subscribe to our various social media platforms, be it Instagram, Facebook or YouTube, and it is at CarbChemJam. The topic of conversation today, of course, is land preparation and the cost-benefit analysis in growing onions. My name is Dean Parker, and with me this afternoon is Jonoy Johnson, our product development agronomist for the Western region. Welcome, Jonoy, and we look forward to a wonderful conversation with growing onions.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Parker. Oh, it's the East region, right? But thanks for having me.
Indeed, so. And so we want to break out for the viewers, of course, Jonoy, the various strategies and programs that we look at, but more specifically, we'll be diving into your land prep and how to get it right from the start. And so the idea is to get the targeted yield through timely application of the chemistries, but more specifically, we are looking at the beginning. Why is that so, Jonoy?
All right. It's very crucial as to basically determine the end results, right? So once you can start properly, you'll hopefully end properly, right? And you'll see later on in the presentation why this is very important, especially at land preparation.
Indeed so. And so when you look at it now at land prep, the next point we want to raise is our stale bed technique. And of course, the most important part, the cost-benefit analysis.
Very important.
Why is this important? Why is this so important?
All right, well, this will give you an idea of what's going on, how you can basically set out your plan to get optimum yield and quality from your production.
Okay, and so when it comes on to your land preparation, the idea here, of course, get your land prep early because again, it's the minimal resource that we're going to be having in terms of tractors and plows and all the bed shapers. So get that your name in long before you need to. Don't wait until the final moment. The idea with the land prep, of course, is to improve the soil texture and structure while at the same time recycling your nutrients, controlling your weeds, and at the same time now, any incidents of pests and diseases and so on, you want to reduce at least 1 month before planting. Generally, why do we stress this? Why is it important to do so?
All right, this will help to, as you mentioned, reduce that competition, that weed competition leading into that early stage. And I tell you, Parker, if a farmer can perfect this art,
yes,
it yields him great results in terms of pest management and even nutrition management.
Well, I'm happy you segued into that because we have testimonials from our farmers this afternoon who would have done it and, of course, would have benefited from the strength behind the Carbon Chemicals team. We introduced stale bed as a means of reducing your weed species, the number of pressure that is present in the crop itself. Why do we go the route of doing this? And describe for me the benefits therein of this technique.
All right, so the basic idea of stale bed is to put in some extra time to allow some time for the weeds to either emerge, then you control, or you can come in earlier and do like a pre-emergent approach. And as I stated before, it's to reduce that potential competition. Because once you turn the soils, you're bringing up weed seeds, right?
Indeed.
And generally, if it's an area that has not been cultivated for some period, the seed bank might be very great. So what you want to do is to suppress those weed seeds that have emerged leading into that crop. And the stale bed approach will go into it, the different aspects, either a post-emergent combination or a pre and a post-emergent approach.
Okay, so the method here now, again too, and the strategy as mentioned by John is to look at that diversity of weed species, see where you are in terms of what is your population like, and then over a 1 to 2 month period, reduce that impact, reduce the pressure that is very much present. The technique, again, reducing that weed pressure, so you want to be preparing that land and then thereafter allow for those weed seeds to germinate and then you literally knock them down or to kill them. Again, you can do so, as John I would have mentioned and as we're going to share with you this afternoon, in terms of be it a post or a pre-emergent herbicide, and to get that population down because onions are not very competitive, and as a result of this, you want to be on target and of course be on point. Again, we can't overemphasize this matter. So Janoy, how is this process done? Walk us through it step by step what should the farmer be looking out to do now?
All right, so if you want to take the pre-emergent approach, right, a pre-emergent plus a post-emergent approach, what you want to do is to, after preparation of the land, wet that surface,
Yes.
right? You can use different methods. We have fountain tips, we have drip tips, sprinklers, whatever method you want to do to properly wet that area, right? Then you do application of or very effective pre-emergent herbicide called Prol. Spray Prol on that area, right? Then about 2 to 3 weeks after, you can wet again to see what other weeds are emerging. Then you come back with a Prol and glyphosate. So you're doing a pre-emergent with a post-emergent combination, right? So that is the pre and post combination. Or if you don't want to use a pre-emergent, what you should do, wet, allow the weeds to come up, and most importantly, don't let the weeds go to seed. Very important, because if you let the weeds go to seed, you're basically continuing that cycle again.
Okay.
Right.
And again, as John I would have mentioned, viewers and farmers, we have our HY tube that is quite effective in giving you what you're seeing here are the images being utilized by local farmers on the different plots to help to get that stalebed mechanism going. The idea, as John I would have mentioned, is to get the moisture in.
Yep.
Don't overwater. Don't oversaturate.
Okay, want to avoid compaction.
3 to 4 inches of moisture is sufficient to get those weed seeds germinating and moving through. Also, bear in mind that the timeline, so don't allow them to get back to seeding. These weeds will capitalize on this, do so. In this heavy rainfall that we're experiencing, General, for some farmers, how do they strategize and get a Prol application in? All
right. Generally, based on formulation of the Prol, it's encapsulated, so it will bind to the soil. But what you want to do, after a decent shower rain, what you can do, wait a few days and then do a Prol application, right? Because you don't want to do it when you know there's a heavy shower rain. So wait a few days after, do your Prol application, all right? And as I said, you will watch for the next 2 weeks to see what amount of weeds are emerging. So you determine your next strategy. Either you come in with a systemic post-emergent, like our Glyphosmax or Glyphos AG, or you come in with a contact post-emergent, such as your Carista, your Scorcher, or your Paraquat.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah. Indeed. And so what you're seeing on screen here now, farmers, would have been one of the various strategies that we're describing just now, where we capitalize on the moisture present. The farmer didn't go the route of using a pendimethalin, such as Prol or Penzine, but required and went to use Paraquat plus Breakthrough. Again, what you want is that excellent kill, because you want to penetrate those weed species thoroughly. You want to get your coverage done properly, and at the same time, you want to not be in a rush so much so as to get the chemistry on, because you need full coverage because we're going in Paraquat.
Yeah. And I love and Parker, I love this picture. It shows the early stage at which the farmer came in, right? You see those irrigation line down, and you can still you see that the weeds have basically barely emerged.
Exactly.
Right?
So 2 to 3 inches the most.
Yeah, and in a case like this, a large field, the farmer wait until about 80% of the weeds emerge and then went in to do the application.
Don't skip that now. I want for you to bring that back to the forefront. Note carefully now, it's not the first sight of the weed species. At least 80% of those weeds germinating. You're still watching, you're not allowing them to get to seed, and then you're moving for that kill. Again, in the image below, you're seeing another strategy by a farmer, neighboring farmer. He would have gone ahead, used Prol, but he's noticing that he has some wisp in that field, broadleaf weeds. What's the approach? How do we take it on?
All right, so generally what you draw for is your 2,4-D or your 6-D, and these are broadleaf systemic herbicide that can control your wisp problem, right? Or if you want to take, if the wisp is early in emergence, you can try a scorcher approach.
Exactly.
Because if those wisps are early in growth, the roots wouldn't be established. So using a scorcher will basically control the population.
And let us not leave out our glufosinate ammonium, which is our phenol and our Carista. They too can work quite effectively.
Definitely.
On knocking down these broadleaf weeds and even grasses on your land prep and in your land prep stages. Here again, we see the farmer relying totally here on Prol along with a cocktail of our Carista. again, the strategy here, as you mentioned, John, just now, would have been to allow for those weeds to grow, watch what is happening, and then now move in one application. You would have waited on some amount of moisture. So excellent and very good strategy here. In the image below, John, I describe for the viewers what they're seeing and of course the approach that was taken here.
All right. So in the Glyphosate Max image, what you observe is that the farmer may have experienced a rainfall and the weeds emerge, and the farmer went in with the approach of using Glyphosate Max, which has an additional surfactant, right?
Yes.
And more importantly, what the farmer did was to reduce the pH, which is very important, Parker.
Drive that home for me, please. I need it to
Farmers,
get that done. Tell them how to do so. Why do it?
Glyphosate products generally works best at pH of about 3.5 to 4. But what this farmer did was to take it down to 3.5 and realize it was a night and day comparison.
Excellent.
So with other farmers passing by and seeing that control, they were surprised.
Very much
the same product they're using.
And not getting the control.
And not getting control.
Wow, wonderful.
Right.
You see, the importance of understanding the chemistries, the efficacy strategies. That's why you log on to this channel this afternoon, to learn this one particular matter, to take it back to your farm, and to benefit from using the products, I say, correctly. Right? So getting that pH down, impacting the weeds strategically, and of course, getting down the entire thing. So it doesn't matter what was in this plot. The Glyphosate Max can get it to where it was. Now, we've been talking about stalebed for the last few minutes now. We've seen farmers, Janoy, that would have not gone the route of adhering to these basic principles. And so what I want to share with you this afternoon is the other side of the story. And we say that not to punish these farmers, but to point out to you the error in judgment that they would have brought forward. So let's take a look at this slide, Janoy. Bring forward for me. Explain to the viewers what you're seeing here. This is 4 different locations.
This is the image I always dread, Parker, especially for those new onion farmers. This is what I try to reinforce in the head. If you don't get that land preparation or that stalebed technique in, this is the trouble you'll face. So, looking at the image, you're seeing where the onions have not even emerged within 2 or 3 weeks. They're just emerging. And what you see happening? Competition between weeds. So you're seeing water grass, you're seeing nut grass, you're seeing grasses.
Everything is here. Now, farmers understand that at this point in time, you cannot go in with a herbicide. And so what you're now going to be faced with is to go the route of manual labor. How do you do this when you're talking about a just emerging crop in the hook stage perhaps, or slightly above hook stage, where you can't go in with any oxyfluorphine, you can't go in with a Nabu S, or you can't go in with anything else? What do?
You basically have to resort to manual weeding, and the cost of doing that, well, we'll discuss later.
Well, the cost in there is indeed apparent, but at the same time, this is a loss-making mechanism here that you're seeing. So, I mean, one has to be mindful of the approach that we're taking and the rationale behind the conversation that we're seeing here. Would have spent on land prep, would have spent on irrigation, would have spent on seeds, only for a zero-sum return. And that is not possible in today's agricultural systems when we have the information right at our fingertips. Now, we want to hear from the farmers who would have benefited from our in-field sessions just last week, Tuesday, in Swansea, Clarendon, where we would have demonstrated, beyond the measure what the strategies were. But they too would have wanted to share in terms of the feedback of what they would have done. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Nick from Yala St. Thomas, and this is my onion farm. So, in the beginning of the land prep, what we started out with was tractor came in, did a little plow, then an arrow, and then the bedding. After we've completed with the bedding process, went ahead, gone through with the raking and all of that to get the land as level as properly, get the bedding well situated, as you can see. Well, apart from the rain, but it is properly situated. normally we go through pre-emergent, and if it is that there's any weeds growing up already, we'll spray like some form of post-emergent such as glyphos or scartra, whatever it might be. From there on out, we would then go ahead and we can start putting out the hoses and start planting.
All right. Which pre-emergent you generally use?
We'll normally use like the prone or the benzene.
And does that give you effective control?
Yes, it does. It does give quite an effective control.
Hi everybody, my name is Dwayne Royce. I am an onion farmer located in Danieltown, Clarendon. Now I use a stale bed technique for onion to grow onions, and that is the process is by burning the land before you actually plant, and you want to do that multiple times before you plant to control weeds that will come. Now, weed control is very important when it comes down to onions. The onion cannot compete with the weeds, so you have to get those out before you actually plant the onion. If not, then you're in deep trouble. Now you can go ahead as the carbon chemicals thingy. You can follow that guide and using the products as prescribed in the guide for proper and adequate control of those onion grass, especially the onion grass. That is a killer when it comes on to onion. So you want to control that. You want to control the broadleaves, and you want to control the regular grass to make sure that when you actually sow the onion and those seeds are germinated, you have no form of weeds that you have to contend with. But then you can push nutrition and push that onion to where you want it to be.
So there you have it from the lips of the farmers in terms of the actual feedback they would have given to supply you with the requisite information that the strategies is at work, January. The benefits are numerous, and they, were willing and able to share. We're going into the next segment of the program where we're going to be looking at the cost-benefit analysis. The question at hand is, which farmer should you be? I don't want to be D because D is just out of this equation. So I don't know what you're talking about here, John.
No, all right. Well, being a D farmer, I tell farmers, if you don't know what you're doing, you basically don't know where you stand. You definitely don't want to be a D farmer.
Indeed so. But given the information that is out there from carbon chemicals, the crop care program, you and I and the other team members, 12 members strong, being in the field, there should be no farmer going into agricultural systems or production and not be a farmer. I don't subscribe to the remainder of these persons here where we're talking about a break-even or a loss-making potential altogether. So explain for us, John, what should the cost-benefit analysis do for a farmer? What should the information reveal to him or her?
All right, so as I said before, it's giving you a guide, showing you a pathway on what's the best approach, all right? And basically from the information and data you have, you can then make a simple decision that will lead to higher profits and higher production.
Indeed so. And so when you look at all the objectives involved, the labor costs, the increased productivity, one can't help but to wonder, if I should make simple but yet strategic changes, what benefit would that redound to in terms of my crop? And you're going to be hearing that this afternoon in terms of the long-term benefit of doing one simple changes so as to give you a long-term result. But John, break down for us here. This table in particular, we're talking about the analysis side in terms of weeds and so on. How did we get to these numbers and how do they play out on a day-to-day farm operations?
All right. Viewers, I hope you pause the screen. If you can pause it, pause it. If you can take a screenshot, take a screenshot. This is a live scenario of what actually goes on in the land prep stage. So we presented three scenarios, right? So a farmer who did 2 applications on a post-emergent,
Yes.
be it a systemic or a contact. A farmer who did a pre-emergent, 2 pre-emergent application,
Yes.
and then combine it with a post-emergent, and then a farmer who took the no stale bed approach, right? And let us jump down to the numbers, because these numbers were garnered from price of products and also information based on experience. So let me jump down to manual weeding. You're seeing the costs when that you incur when you depend on manual weeding. So look at the farmer who take a no stale bed approach. You're seeing that 180,000 to 200,000 per acre cost.
But that was the figure, that was the image we showed earlier in terms of not looking or adhering or even simply thinking out of the strategy and then following through.
Yeah, because the farmer had to start weeding from nursery stage straight up close to harvest.
And then multiple applications of whichever herbicides would have had to come into play here and now. So again, you're on the losing end. The application that we're recommending, that I like the figure here where I can keep my numbers down and then win in the back end. How does a farmer do that?
All right, so we're looking at the Prol application with a glyphosate application. So you do an initial Prol application,
yes,
right? Then in 2 weeks or about 3 weeks after, you come with a Prol again with a glyphosate, right? So this will minimize or give you an option whether you can go a ductile application. Okay. So that's optional, right? And then you can follow with a second application of Prol while the crop is about 3-leaf stage. And that would further minimize the cost.
And what sort of impact would this have, if any, on how quickly can I get into planting and all those things, if I take this approach?
All right. Generally, once you do in the Prol approach, you'll look at about 3 to 4 weeks before sowing the seeds. But because you have taken the approach where you are doing the land prep 2 months before planting, you will have sufficient time.
So you'll have enough time. You'll fit right into the scheme of things and be on the winning edge. You might just be able to cut back on your ductile application, which can be, of course, in a costly expense. But while doing that, you win in terms of not having to get persons to go back in field and to be weeding or to be doing anything else.
Drastic
this
savings.
Is all about going the extra mile for you farmers to test and retest and to prove here and now this afternoon that these strategies do work. We have another video testimonial from one of our farmers who will be sharing, the adaptation of a simple mechanism, just to ensure that the method works by doing the work prior to planting and then winning in the back end. But don't take it from me. Listen to our farmer listen to the farmer that would have been, of course, sharing in the experience of what would have occurred, both the previous crop and the current one. Take a look.
Yes, I am Nodia Edward, farmer, onion farmer. I do my farming at the Agripar. I use the Caribbean chemical crop care guide for my onion. In truth and in fact, it was really good for me. I use all of the products from the crop care guide, and from that crop care guide, the year before, I got about 6,000 to 7,000 pounds from my acre. This year, I got 22,000 pounds of onion from my acre.
So what were the major takeaways? What did you observe? What was the shelf life and quality of that crop?
Well, for the shelf life, yes, I had a better shelf life than the year before. Because the year before, I had a lot of spoilage, I had a lot of neck rot and all of that. Since I used the crop care guide, I didn't have those problems. The shelf life, I had a lot of shelf life because I reaped the onion from March and I have it up to July.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
So there you have it again. The feedback, Janoy, is that she would have been able to keep the crop for an additional 4 months. Right? Not just that. The previous year, when we interjected, the crop was well advanced, but there were issues that we had to step in and to curtail. And so that's where you get that 6,000 figure coming through, 7,000 pounds. But here we're talking about the adjusted behavior, the adjusted approach by doing the stale bed and looking at the various strategies involved, and now we're talking about over 14,000 pounds different in terms of the harvest. What is the takeaway that our farmers, those with their notepads and their pen and pencils, should be writing down?
All right. So if it's one thing to starting out the onion crop for the first time, ensure that you do a proper steel bed technique, and that will get you off to an excellent start. And then if you want to even step that up further, follow the crop care guide. But do one thing for me, just do an excellent steel bed technique.
And there you have it. The strategy is simple. Get ahead of your land preparation by doing all the work prior to. Use your prowl if you have to. If you're limited in time and you can't get spraymen and all the other activities. If you're busy, so work prowl. Put prowl to work. It will work for you. And there are many pendimethalines on the market, January, but we say there's only one prowl.
One prowl.
So you know for a fact what we're talking about here.
Definitely.
Get your prowl in, get your glyphosate max in, and put it to work. Outside of that, you simply follow the regimen that we've recommended. We've tested it, and we tested it multiple times in St. Union, the parish.
Yeah, man.
We've gone there, done it, tested it, and ensured that the product works. So this afternoon, you would have heard from the farmers and viewers in terms of the best approach or the best practices from a land preparation standpoint. Part 2 and 3 of this conversation is yet to come. We'll be talking about how to get your nutrition strategies working while at the same time managing your pests and diseases using, of course, our crop care guide. That's something that you want to have. It's on our website, so feel free to download, save. You can watch and pause and re-watch. We would have had other videos, on the different crop strategies and programs on the YouTube platform saved. So guess what? I would say to our farmers that this time around, we should be pushing the envelope in terms of yield for the overall country and island.
Definitely.
Jamaica. All right, so for different upcoming activities, this Saturday the 30th, we'll be participating in the International Coffee and National Cocoa Day, and this is going to be put on by JACRA, and this is going to be at Fairview Farm Store in Moco, Clarendon, and this will be starting at 10 a.m. Yours truly, Dane Parker, will be present, along with the different members of the team. Of course, on Thursday too, we'll be participating, that's the 5th of October, a new month has begun. We'll be participating in the Sugarcane Post-Crop Expo. And so, again, we'll be at the Denby Agricultural Showground, and we'll be participating in that session. We'll be, of course, looking at weed management strategies. And again, look out for the 3rd staging installment of our Agritech Forum. This is where the information, all the strategies, all the product portfolios, all the work that we've been doing in the field will be on display. And so this is going to be in the 4th week of October, a date and a location to be announced. So, of course, if you're on our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel, you'll be fully aware of that occasion. Any parting word, January, as we close this session this afternoon?
Well, I hope that growers, especially for this onion season, focus on improving quality, increasing productivity, and basically increasing profitability.
Indeed, indeed. And so we thank you again for joining in the conversation. Of course, feel free to join the discussions on the different platforms, listen to us on Power 106 and all the different social media pages as we continue to provide information and share. Are there any questions at this time from our viewing audience? And I'm sure that the student person should be burning with some questions, as to how to go about the onion. I see Georgia there saying yes, and so go ahead. Okay, so this afternoon, John, I'm told we'll be giving a lovely prize to our viewers. What's the question at hand, and what's that item of prize that they should be taking away this afternoon?
All right, let me make this really simple, and I hope viewers, you were listening. So listen out. What pre-emergent herbicide did we mention in the presentation could be used prior to planting the onion? And this is 3 to 4 weeks prior to planting. The pre-emergent herbicide. So name that pre-emergent herbicide. I want the farmers to basically have that name on their tip of their tongue, you know. So when you're talking onion, that should be on the tongue.
Again, we have an answer already. Just as you mentioned, as you finish the question, January, somebody was typing in the chat. So go ahead with the winner, the recipient for this afternoon.
So Stevie.
Sure. Prowl. That's it,
Stevie. That's right. Sure, go ahead, Stevie.
Which day length will give you the best results in the coming months?
All right. So you want to go for the onion variety he's talking about, right? So you want to go for a short day length onion variety, right? So in the tropics, we generally have short day length and intermediate. So between September to about January, you're looking for short day length, and from March all the way down to about July, you're intermediate.
All right, indeed. So that puts a wrap on our conversation this afternoon. Thank you again for joining us as we say, continue to let's grow your yields.